guys, welcome to the Improvement Season podcast. It is me, Steve Hall, as always, and on the other end, Pascal Floor. How are things with you? I guess we have to do current affairs a little bit. Let's try and not do too much, but I was going to say, how are things in Berlin? And we've already talked about it. I know they're not great.
No, same old story. Same things that I've been repeating over the last couple of weeks. So you could basically listen to every single episode over the past weeks, and it was always like the same thing of like lockdowns the reopening further delayed. Now it's the 22nd of April. Cases spiking again. Then I'm fucked up. I don't want to train longer at home. I want to go back to the... So basically same old story. But I now got a bench at home. After 5 months of a lockdown, I finally got a bench. So this can change things up just slightly. But yeah, overall, it's really, really just the same old story.
Did you get a bench with any... Can it go incline, decline? Yeah. Not that you need... Would you use a decline?
I actually wanted to get a bench that is capable of doing an incline with also some attachment for leg extension and leg curl. Thing is, though, I don't know what's going on in Germany, because you've been also telling me about your Myra Fit of like 200 quid for that tower. And it's a great machine, apparently, because I know two of my athletes, they have it as well. Yeah. And it's robust. It does its job well. And I can't find anything like that here in Germany. And I've been digging through different websites, and I can't find something like that. I don't know where. Maybe there's nothing that is as popular here in Germany that people simply don't purchase stuff like that here normally. Don't know, but I couldn't find anything like that. Everything was much more expensive. Maybe for the same, even the same manufacturer, because I could imagine that it's not manufactured in UK, but probably somewhere in China or so. Probably same manufacturer, but for 500 or so. And I was just like, I'm not spending 500 on just like this. So yeah, I was looking around. I was even considering getting kind of a multi-station where you then can do something like pack deck, lat pull downs, cable work, leg extensions, maybe even a Smith machine in there. But still, I'm always hesitant. But that kind of was the culprit over the last couple of weeks, because I do remember back on the 2nd of November when I told you guys, like, yeah, I don't think that they would just close it for like 1 month. I also, though, on the other hand, never expected them to shut things down for like 5 months and ongoing. And I should have just purchased something back then. But yeah, hindsight is 2020, right?
It's
like, actually, literally speaking, 2020.
Yeah, it's hard, because I just remember when I initially was buying stuff, I was like, I'm being a bit over the top. I didn't even like share it on social media. I remember just thinking like, I'm just being a bit of a psycho bodybuilder right now, buying all this stuff. And then it all paid off. And from that moment, I was like, you know what? As soon as I feel like need something and something comes in stock and it's useful, I'm just getting it, because who the fuck knows? Like, I hate it when things are outside of your control. So I was like, man, I'm just controlling this. I'm just fucking buying it. But when it's expensive, where would you put your multi gym? Do you have like a spot for it?
Well, I mean,
in the lounge?
Where I have my office right now, it's a small space, but on the other side of this upper floor, Katie has her stuff at the moment, right? And I was just like telling her how much it mentally impacts me. And I was just like, you're laughing. So I think that you can resonate with that. Yeah. I was just telling her, like, I'm not the same, man. I have the feeling that it also impacts other areas of my life. Also, it impacts the kids and her, that I'm not as chirpy, not as energetic, not as, I don't know, not as I normally am, because we are still privileged. Let's put it that way. That I still have the opportunity at all to still train. I have some weights now here at home. But still, it's simply not the same for me. Like, honestly. And we've been talking about it via WhatsApp. I'm cutting at the moment, and it's just like, this is something that I've never experienced. I'm just without any kind of drive. I'm not struggling with the diet. It's just like, what am I even doing this for right now? Because with how things are going at the moment, to be very, very brutally honest, I can't see this getting all of a sudden like this and things are back to normal in the summertime. And I'm just like, why am I even doing this? So we are definitely not going to reopen the gyms here at the end of April. So let's just put a big if to it, that on the 22nd of April, it's starting to actually be lifted now. I can't see that the gyms are then having the highest priority of them being reopened. So this would probably then take another 2 or 3 or 4 weeks before then the gyms are being open, which is then the end of May or so, and then beginning of June, right? And right now, to me personally, it's just like, I just train, and I just do nutrition at the moment, but I'm kind of floating around because training at home, it's easy to say like, okay, yeah, 3 months, come on, let's do the very best or get the very best out of this situation. But in totality, the entire time was now over 8 months over the last year.
Yeah.
It's easy to say like, okay, I have 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and then we are back to normal. But now it's just like, after 8 months in total, I'm just tired. I'm just really, really tired. And that's why right now I have not really a lot of drive. And I think that is totally understandable. And you even said that right now you're even uncertain about like getting up tired in the morning. I don't even know what's about to happen at the end of the year or so.
Yeah, I can't imagine the position you're in. It's really tough because like it's getting late to start a prep for this year now as well for people like Arne just started his literally like this week he's starting or next week. And I mean, who even like he can't train in a proper gym. Like, so it's like all the competitors are just left to training in like what they've got. And I know for the UK, the FBA, I think they said something along the lines of, we're not kind of confirming these show dates until we see what's happening with gyms opening and things like that, because we want people to have a significant amount of time training like in a good facility.
And a good experience probably, right?
Yeah. Because this is what I said to you I think I said it a few times where I was like mulling through my thoughts about competing this year. I was just like, I don't really want to compete in a year where, I don't know, there's a lot of, like, just like last year, why we called it off in the end, because there's so much unknown and stresses. It's like, man, we're going to like the vaccine's doing a lot of good here, but what happens if there's a new variant or winter comes and I don't know, it all starts spreading somehow again, or it's just, and then I talked about you as well. Like I wanted to compete alongside you. Like we wanted to do that as a team. And if you can't, due to these unforeseen circumstances, like maybe I'm better delaying it. It's like,
totally. And I don't want to always go through a cutting phase in hopes that I then can step on stage, when in reality, it's always like an unknown. So I rather than cut through the summertime, like proper summertime, when it's actually warm outside, right? Because right now it's still terrible weather outside, kind of. It's cold. I rather just like, don't know, eat a little bit more. Doesn't mean that I'm gaining or so, right? But it's like, okay, why am I doing it right now when I can easily do it like later on, just a normal cutting phase or so, to put yourself in a proper position instead of that pressure. Because you and I, we are both like that, those type of people who, when we commit to something, then we commit to something. And then when it's being cancelled off, or when something gets in our way that is outside of our control, to me at least, it's always like, fuck that, very much disheartening and to some extent a little bit devastating, right? And that's also probably why the current situation impacts me so much, because I have no control over it whatsoever. I have no saying in that as well. And that is just like, once again, I just feel like I'm floating around at the moment. And I think that many people are probably like that, because same as last year, it's a big unknown of what is going to happen here in the near future, right? And maybe it's just because we have been in that state for such a long time that we are a little bit in a pessimistic state as well. And things can turn around and become very positive in a very short period of time. But because you have been in that state for such a long time, it's like everything is just like fucked up, right? And Yeah, I don't know. I would love to just like say, no, this is definitely always going to happen here this year. We are going to step on stage, everyone. We're doing this seminar still and all that kind of stuff. But right now, hey, man, we are at a worse spot here in Germany than last year in the first lockdown. In a much, much worse spot. And we have the vaccines. And that is something that you have to just consider of like, do you really think that last year, especially during that time right now, right, with the first lockdown, we've been in a better position than now, and do I then think that we will be back to relatively normal in 2 months from now? That would be very optimistic, I think, right? And because of all that kind of negativity and just being in your, it feels like as if you are somewhat of a prisoner that has like an ankle cuff. I'm still allowed to go outside, just around the corner here, but I'm not allowed to move too far away from my home. That's what it feels like. Right? And I can't go into the city or to some stores, or even with the kids on the weekends. There's nothing really we can do at the moment because everything is just shut. So the only thing that we could be doing right now, especially because the weather was shitty, was just like trying to come up with games at home, which is, I mean, for kids, it's not just staying at home is also not the coolest thing, right? And just so many things come together where it's like, I'm just drained. That's it. I think that is the right term. I'm just drained and tired by that right now. That's what it is.
I know we've said it's like Groundhog Day before, and that's like, for me, it was like, I think I said to you actually on a voice note, I was like, getting this desk and like setting all this up was like super exciting. I was like, this is like awesome. I just need like retail therapy. That makes me feel better in the short term, at least. Because we can't do anything at the moment, but it's going to get particularly hard in Europe when like the UK starts opening up, because a lot of the US is open. Australia's obviously open. New Zealand's pretty normal. So, or at least it looks like it from the outside in. And so, yeah, when the rest of Europe is still struggling and all these other places, like people are going to kick up even more of a fuss, I imagine.
Yeah. Without going too much into the political realm, in September, there will be votes here in Germany. And with everything that is going on at the moment, I am very, very anxious about populist parties becoming the leading party then. Because people are just like very, very, very tired, and also they don't really enjoy what is going on in Germany at the moment with the decisions, and especially like after yesterday, because Chancellor Merkel came out and said that they did a mistake in the regulations they did, which is, by the way, I think it's great that a big politician steps up and says like, I did a mistake. Yeah. And I take full responsibility for it, right, without anyone forcing them to do so, right? Just stepping up, because I think it's super important that someone is doing that, because too many people are just like not admitting having done any kind of mistakes, when in reality they know that they did it. But that, of course, just fuels the fire even more so, especially for the pessimists and the ones who are against the current leading party, right? They are just like saying, yeah, see, they're so incompetent. And I'm very, very anxious and afraid of what's about the political atmosphere and how it's going to develop here in September then. And I really do hope that things are actually getting better. I haven't voted for that leading party, but I rather want to have them leading the country instead of some kind of a populist party.
And in terms of, if to bring it back to you, how is the diet going? Like, has it, you saying, kind of talking about it's impacting you, you're not driven to do it, but you still adhering, or how's that going?
Yeah. So I'm not struggling with hunger or anything alike, right? I just had a couple of more refeeds where it's like, okay, yeah, okay. I just am way too flexible in that term then, where it's like, Katie is at home. She asked me like, okay, should we order sushi because it's Wednesday? And it's like, sure, why not? When I have that clear goal normally, and I am doing a cutting phase, and I'm committed to the cutting phase, it's always like, no way, right? And I know that is too extreme because I could easily always allow for that. But because of that, because I also the unknown is there, and I'm right now, I don't really know why or what I'm cutting for. It's like, sure, why not? And I think that this is something that I've never experienced in the past, like to that extent, where it's like, I don't know. It was either or situation of like, okay, I'm either cutting or I'm not cutting, right? And this time it's just like too flexible. And this is a good thing though to go through, because this is the first time that I'm experiencing that, and that also makes me probably be able to also then relate to what other clients are going through, to be honest, because I've never had that in the past, that the current situation where I'm in, of like also that maybe ambivalent environment of like, should I or should I not? I could easily be here, or could easily be continue cutting. I don't know. And we are always talking about the reason why needs to be there. And right now, I simply don't have a reason why, because Connor's prep, hey, come on, don't know, right?
Yeah, I can definitely see, and there's definitely value in it, because I'm very similar. Like, I have a goal in mind. I'm just executing. I'm not adding in like refeed days that weren't planned and such. But a lot of my clients, and I'm sure you're the same, I'll be like, it's fine that you ate up that day. You were maybe in a smaller deficit, even not even in maintenance, and you just put pause on fat loss for one day. Like, it's really not that big a deal. We have no deadline. It's kind of like, it's really not a big deal. So for you to kind of experience that and actually be a bit more flexible is probably just a healthier mindset generally for a cut.
Totally. And I'm just thinking like, okay, I have no deadline. And even if I end up being only in a deficit for 3 or 4 days, which I would normally not recommend, because I'm always under the impression of like, okay, having those planned cyclical phases of gaining and cutting is probably much more productive than just like hanging around there, sometimes being at maintenance, sometimes being in a caloric deficit. But I'm also at a point where I have to fully admit that I'm not in a position where I'm able to push myself as hard at home in regards to training as I would normally do in a gym. And that's also why I don't think that I could even be in a good position of gaining at home, because I can't really push it as hard as I probably want and need to. And that's why I only have 2 choices, and that is either maintenance, or at least that's only 2 choices for me. It's either maintenance or cutting phase. Because I'm a little bit like without a drive for a cutting phase. It's like some days are in a caloric deficit and some days aren't. And then I'm decreasing things just a little bit, but I'm also not, I don't know, experiencing the massive negative adaptations, especially when I'm not mentally in the best place right now. And this is definitely a point that I need to bring up. And this is also something that has been much worse like 2 months ago, when also I was dealing with some health issues and Tony was going through some health issues as well. But still, I'm not in the best mental health spot. This is just a simple fact. And I think that many people are going through something like that, with or without knowing that, because maybe they've never thought about it. But I think that COVID has revealed those kind of things in many people, or brought them up in many people. And once again, these are the things that you don't hear about, because this is not in the news. This is not what other people are focusing on at the moment. You're not hearing about how the depression rate has probably gone up. And this is definitely happening.
Yeah. I know even I spoke to Greg Potter about it, and I think he may have even came on the podcast, and there may have even been some studies done on like how COVID's impacting people's sleep negatively. Like, I mean, and then sleep impacts everything, but I mean, I very much expect that to be related to stress. And so I have no doubt that people just generally, like, these are all, I guess, little things behind the scenes that are adding up, that are suddenly going to be shown once everything starts opening up a bit more. Or maybe they'll improve as well. I guess they will improve as things improve in the world. But I don't know what you can do. I actually don't know. As a friend, I want to help. And like, it's so hard.
To me, it's always hard to talk about it here on the podcast, because I'm a coach, right? And I want to be a role model for not only my athletes, but I also want to represent something for the brand and for myself. Right? And of course, I'm not putting the best light on myself when I'm talking about it, because I'm not that perfect individual. And I think when someone is actually coming to you or considering becoming an athlete of yours, I think that they are shaping that reality for themselves of like, yeah, the coach has it all figured out for himself, but also for the athletes. And that's why I'm always there, very hesitant in talking about it. And also, in the past, I was able to deal much, much better with negative comments on YouTube or over on Instagram. But I have the feeling, because I'm currently in a little bit more fragile state due to the current situation, that I'm not super satisfied with how everything is going at the moment. I even am more susceptible than to those negative comments. And of course, I could just sit here, pretend as if everything is cool and fine and dandy, and that I'm just doing my thing, but I'm also honest enough, and I'm an adult. I have a hard time lying and deceiving people. But once again, it's not easy for me talking about it, and it's not that I'm proud of that I'm just without drive, because I want to be that. I think that many people have that they want to be that perfect individual. They want to present as if they don't have any kind of flaws to the outside, and we are shaped by, especially the internet generation, that we want to be that, once again, perfect individual to the outside. But that's not how it is. And I would, once again, I would love to say like, no, everything is fine. I've it all figured out. Just need to push through it, and I will make the very best of the situation. I will sit down now. I will take the advantage of the additional time that I have available, etc., etc. But that's not what it is at the moment, unfortunately. Yeah. And I at times I feel a little bit embarrassed by that, because when people are giving me shit for that, when putting out some negative comments, I see always that there may be a little bit of truth to the comments sometimes. And before that, I was just always thinking like, what do you know? Because I'm training hard, I'm ticking all of the boxes. But right now, that's simply not the case. So yeah, a little bit embarrassed and a little bit hard to talk about these kind of things.
I think it is tough, but at least from my perspective, it's so, don't know how to say it. I guess it's much more, like, I feel much better when I'm myself. I've for the longest time on social media and like just putting myself out there, I like try and put a front, be someone else. And I'm always looking to other people. But once you just accept, like, you are who you are and you go through what you go through, that definitely helps. And I imagine you've had it, Pascal. I've definitely had it with clients where they see a little bit of normality in us and they're like, oh man, that's awesome. Like, they like actually seeing us as humans. Yeah. And like, I don't know, we fuck up as well. Like, we get injured. True. I don't know, whatever it is that happens. We're not perfect robots every day. It's as much as we like to be.
Yeah. Don't know. And you got a very great point there, because that can create the people that you are then attracting. And that is funny, because I just had a conversation with Katie about it, because we want to, of course, work primarily with physique athletes who have the same ambitions as we do, right? But a huge majority of the people are also just like, they want to look better, they just need help, they want to give away the accountability, they want to gain some more knowledge, etc., etc. And I was just thinking, like, that is probably also because of something like the Improvement Season podcast, where we are talking openly about our flaws and about the struggles that we are having, because this is what many people can relate to. They can't relate to someone like Ronnie Coleman talking about, I don't know, lifting, what was it, 800 pounds for reps or so, right? No one can relate to that. It's cool to watch, but no one can relate to that. And I think that because personal training, and this is something that many people are forgetting, personal training has the emphasis on the personal aspect of things. And because of that, you want to be relatable, actually. But there's kind of the contradiction in itself, because you want to work with those high caliber athletes, but at the same time, you yourself, you attract the not so high caliber. Of course, there are some high caliber athletes in our rosters, that's for sure. But of course, you're also working with those individuals who have maybe the same flaws as you do. And that is totally all right. But it's funny because it's a little bit ironic that you want to just like work with those hardcore guys, but in reality you're not, because you're not putting yourself out there as if you are the hardcore guy, the perfect individual, such as I can think of other people who are doing that, and they are probably then attracting a certain type of athlete.
Hi guys, Steve here. Just wanted to take a moment of your time to remind you of the Revive Stronger member site. Inside you'll find a thriving forum, a growing exercise library, presentations, research reviews, and courses. If you want to get involved, sign up via the description.
I also wonder how true that all is. I just think everyone has their own little kind of things that they go through, and that they can't be like Mr. and Mrs. Perfect every single day. Like, it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
As much as like I like to think that I am very much like that, there are things that just are inherent to me as a human. There's like pros to my kind of personality and who I am, but then some of those pros, there's also cons to some of those that lead me to doing things maybe I shouldn't do, and maybe I'm not even aware of the things that they're doing. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's a real hard time at the moment, and I hope things get better on your end, and I hope maybe you can find something that gives you a bit more drive. I imagine even the bench probably gave you a bit more of a motivation. But
when it arrived yesterday, I was switching around the pull and the push day because I hoped that it comes and arrives on then the pull day. So 2 days ago, normally I would have done like the push day before the pull day. And I switched it around in hope for that I could actually use it for then the push day that is to come. Now I have to wait for a couple of days. What is it now? Two or 3 days before I can actually make use of that one. Probably though, I'm trying everything I possibly can where I can incorporate that, such as, I don't know, maybe even
zero.
Zeros. I would just do chest supported rows then. And zeros, it's like most of the time I don't think that it's worth the hassle of setting things up, right? Maybe I would just play around with it because I've never done zeros, to be fair. But yeah, I would probably find some ways of incorporating that. But I never would have thought that I actually miss something like the leg curl and also the leg extension machine to the extent that I do at the moment.
Yeah,
I really do miss them. Like, honestly.
Yeah, the machines are definitely a thing that I think most people probably miss, because you can kind of recreate a lot of the barbell dumbbell stuff, and that's relatively accessible. But the machines, just like the wall hack squat thing, is just nothing like it. It's not really anything like it. Is like a hack squat, but not really.
I also have to admit, I once again found myself taking a look at the Titex machines as well.
Oh yeah.
And then I was doing the math of like, can it even fit into this apartment, or maybe do I need to actually put it outside and actually get some construction workers actually building a rooftop over it or so? Because it is massive. But man,
huge.
It comes at the price of like 10,000, which I could probably some of the price I can deduct from taxes because I'm a personal trainer. So I could probably come up with an argument of like, no, I need that from a business. So I could probably deduct like 2,000 quid or so from that, if not everything.
That's why I try this. Like, I think that's what's been keeping my motivation to train up slightly. Is like every month I'm just like picking up something new. It's like, I'll just buy this little gadget for this. I'll buy this little gadget for this. Taxes is fine. Try and just convince yourself.
Yeah. How things are on your end?
Okay. It's pretty much this mesocycle. I could probably have done with an active recovery week, really, at this stage, or like some lower volume, basically. Just
are you doing that before the gyms are opening?
No.
Okay.
So it didn't. I just couldn't time it right. So the gyms are opening now in like 2 weeks or something, just over 2 weeks. And I just couldn't time my mesocycles out. I was either going to time it, I think I spoke to you about aligning it with the gyms opening, or just aligning it better with the show dates for competing. So I just decided to align it better with the shows. So I'll just transition back into the gym. And thankfully, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing here, I can do within the gym. The weirdest ones will be like the sissy squats and what I'm doing like with that. There's not really an obvious replacement or exchange. And I don't know, the sissy squat's pretty good, the machine. So I might do some sessions from home even during that mesocycle where I'm transitioning in, because I've just going through week 1. So the gyms will open in week 4 of that mesocycle. So I'll probably finish most of that mesocycle at home even, which sounds weird to say, but it just doesn't make sense to shift everything around to go back into the gym. And then, really like frustratingly, I will have a deload and then active recovery week within like the first month the gym's open. But I'm planning to try and go away, take some time off. And I think we'll be allowed to like go away and do something like I did last year. Went to Sheffield for a few days and did like a hike. So I'm hoping I might be able to do that. Basically, partly because it will be good to do, and also to help me get through the active recovery week. Because a week of deloading is hard enough, let alone 2 weeks back to back. But yeah, my motivation to train and stuff is probably a bit lower than it would normally be due to just so long having pushed high volumes. And I'm essentially repeating the mesocycle I just did. And I normally tweak a few things going into the next meso, but I'm basically doing like a carbon copy for the most part, and just looking to beat performance from that past meso. I hit a new heavy body weight this morning, 195 pounds, which is probably the heaviest I would want to get before starting stage, but it's so funny. This people listening. Well, yes, but people listening will get this next part. Is I went to the loo so much this morning after it.
How much did you lose?
Did you weigh yourself? I didn't weigh myself again. I should have.
Okay.
I should have.
Sometimes.
But yeah, it's just,
okay, so
why did my body hold on to all that?
Yeah, exactly. For everyone who doesn't want to actually listen to something like that, skip the next minute or two. Because sometimes you have the feeling that you are actually giving birth to a child, like 4 kilograms or so. I don't know if it's really coming out like this, but sometimes it's crazy, especially in a gaining phase when you get up. For me, it's always like you always have the same schedule when it's happening. For me, at the moment, sorry once again for all the information, I'm getting up in the morning, having my coffee, having my whey shake, then I'm stepping on the treadmill for like half an hour, and then after that treadmill, I actually definitely need to go to the toilet. That's for sure. Yeah, but yeah.
Mine's similar. Mine's very similar, but I always need to go first thing, pretty much when I wake up.
Really?
Then I weigh in. But then for some reason, about an hour later, I need to go again. And maybe an hour later, I need to go again. And then the rest of the day, I'm pretty fine. I don't get it.
Katie was once saying like, in a gaining phase, like it can be normal that I'm going like 3 times per day, even, right, in a proper gaining phase. And she was saying at some point to me like, yeah, I know that you're going 3 times. How is that even possible? And you always finish so quickly. It's like as if you're just going to take a pee and then you're coming out again.
Yeah, it's I do like that about cutting. It's just efficient, like maybe 1 poo a day. Nice, solid.
If at all, at some point it can stick. Yeah. Or be with you for like a couple of days, which has always been the case when I've been traveling to the UK. Sometimes it just stays with me for like 3 days up until the point that I'm coming home again, and then everything just comes out. Just imagine how much you've consumed during that time, like from the size of the and also kilograms of food you stuffed into yourself, and it simply didn't come out, and then it comes out with the body can be quite an efficient machine.
One last final point I can remember. For some reason, I used to have a coffee, and that would always make me go. But if I'm going to a coffee shop and I have one, it's like my body knows. It's like, no, we're in a coffee shop. You're not going to the bathroom. I don't know what it is.
I was once considering when I was sitting on the toilet, because downstairs, our toilet, you can actually then see the poo, right, when you're getting off the toilet. And I was just considering, has anyone ever considered of actually creating an Instagram account and just recording their poop each and every single day, and that's just the only thing that you're posting. So when you're now discovering an Instagram page like this, it's not mine. Just so that you know, I don't write to that guy or individual or like, hey, Pascal, is that you? No, it's not me.
Oh God,
someone had that idea before me then.
So yeah, my point was being, I don't think I'm a true 195 at the moment. I think I'm hovering around 193. I want to push that into 195 by the end of this mesocycle for sure. Oh. And then that will put me officially like properly 30 pounds above like stage weight, 165 pounds or so I was on stage. So hopefully only 20 pounds then to lose though, which yeah, I hope to be a good amount heavier on stage, but we'll see. We'll see even if shows go ahead. Like I said, I'm kind of nervous for all of that. It's not a nice feeling.
Yeah. Got to poop it all out, those 20 pounds. Really, we have. So, last thing about poop, and that is not a disgusting discussion now. Every single time we're going to bed, so I'm always bringing Tony to bed, and Katie is bringing Hugh to bed at the same time. I'm always reading something to Tony, right? And we have that. The book is called Everyone Poops, and it's just like with a lot of pictures in there, right? And then just tell the story about poop, what poop is made of, how poop is then being broken down, who poops, all that kind of stuff. And there, I learned a lot about poop there as well. And yeah, it's just a lot of, you're just basically pooping out a lot of water as well then. So here we go.
I have one final thing on poo, just because we're talking about it.
It doesn't end.
This is
how often we said already.
I know.
One final thing.
Do you know hanky, the Christmas poo?
Yeah.
So I have a birthmark. I actually don't even know what side of my face it is. I have like
that
a brown.
Looks like hanky.
Someone said it looks like hanky.
Just need to draw like you just need to draw some kind of Christmas hat
tattoo.
Yeah.
I just had to say that. Anyway, questions, right?
Yeah.
So we have questions on the members site from Michael. So Michael has asked, thoughts on what to do when you miss a day of training due to life. Would you recommend skipping the day and just moving to the next session, picking up where you left off, or moving 1 to 2 sets to other training days, as long as they don't impact the session drastically? Hate sheet blanks in my training sheet. Harry, this one will be coming your way also. Harry hopefully has already answered it.
Yeah. So for me personally, I just like to continue where I left off. So for me, even though, funny enough, I had the conversation with one of my dearest athletes, Sammy. You know her as well. Shout out to Sammy. Don't even know whether she's listening to that. But I said the Gregorian calendar doesn't really matter, right? So you just like continue where you left off. However, funny enough, she and I are both on the same page. I like to have my training sessions always on the same days because, I don't know, I like to have my training sessions or my training week start on a Friday because I don't have any kind of client check-ins on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's where I can commit a lot of time to my training sessions. I don't like to have it switched around. However, of course, there are always exceptions to the rule. I rather continue where I left off in regards to my training protocol than skipping a session. And in rare occasions, I would say like, okay, skip a session, maybe when you just have such a tight schedule or maybe you have a tight deadline or so. And I hardly ever put additional sets on other training days because it can easily backfire on you. And also considering that there may be something like a session on MRV where you just end up accumulating a lot of fatigue without the amount of stimulus that you could provide if it were a separate day or so. I would rather split it up into 2 sessions on a single day instead of doing everything in one training session or so.
And this is the time I say, Michael, fuck life. We're bodybuilders. We don't miss sessions ever. Bodybuilding is a life. And therefore, this never happens. So, no, that was my attempt at banter. I'm really bad at banter, but hopefully that one stuck a little bit. I'm the same with you. I don't know where, I think I got this from Mike Teixeira. I can't even say his last name correctly. Mike T, let's just call him Mike T from RTS. And he kind of, I think he spoke about the mesocycle being like a puzzle and every session in that puzzle is like a piece, and you can't complete the puzzle until you kind of done every piece, like you've done every single session. So I like to, like, rather than skipping
cool.
that session, rather than skipping that session, do it when you can. So similar to what you said there, but you bring up a really good point that some people have like their routine, their schedule, they can't just be that flexible. And like, I've tried thinking, oh yeah, I'll just, like, if I need to have an extra rest day for a session, I'll do it. And I'll just push my sessions back. But I'm the same as you. Sunday's my rest day for religious reasons, not religious reasons. It's just my rest day. So I just take that. And so the rest of my sessions go there. So I don't know when the last time I missed a session, but my life is incredibly boring. So I can't think when I've needed to do it.
That brings me up to actually a good point that you've made there, because I could easily still do it like this, just not change the rest day. Always have the rest day on the same day and just like switch things around then. Of course, that would require a little bit more planning then, but I could easily, instead of always starting the training week with a leg session and then push, I could easily just, like, if I miss a session, still take the rest day, even though if maybe I then end up with 2 rest days in a row and then just like continue having the same schedule and same order.
When's your rest day? Monday?
It's on Thursday.
Thursday. Today?
Yeah, today. Today's the day. Anniversary. Weekly anniversary.
Wait, are you training 6 times a week at the moment?
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah.
Did we answer that one? Yeah. So also from Michael says, limiting negative self-talk. I think this is a really cool question. This could be about aging and the fight against it, the body clock, missing previous progress, or just negative body image / weak points. How do you both combat this and keep perspective in a growth mindset?
Do you want to tackle this one first?
I'll try. I think it's a cool question because it's something I battled with personally, because as bodybuilders, we do tend to talk down to ourselves. Like, we look at ourselves and, like, I don't know, too fat, too skinny, this isn't big enough, that's not big enough. And part of that is like, I like to do it because it's challenging yourself. It's like, if I don't think this is impressive, if I say like, oh, my bench isn't very strong because I'm comparing to stronger people, it makes me want to grow bigger and be better. Whereas if I go like, yeah, I'm so strong, I'm like, all of this, like, oh, my arms are so massive, blah, blah, blah. It's like, will I really push myself to make them bigger? But in the same instance, if you just talk yourself down and go like, yeah, I look like a piece of shit, I don't know, like, I'm so weak and blah, 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 is that almost self-fulfilling in a way? Like, you are giving yourself like a nocebo. You're like, yeah, my calves are tiny and they never grow. And they now never going to grow. So I think you have to be careful how you play it. I think there's probably a sweet spot with it all, like where you're positive about yourself and you're like, yeah, I'm doing well, but I want to be better. It's kind of one of those middle ground parts. I'm listening to a book at the moment called something about the placebos, talking about placebos. It's essentially, they talked about like cancer patients, and a lot of the ones who seem to get past cancer are the ones who are very, very positive, and they kind of try to live their lives if it's normal, and they're like, I'm going to beat this. And it's like almost they're placeboing themselves into defeating something. So that made me really think about this, where it's like, if I think it might, like, I used to always be like, I've got bad genetics, I'm never going to go pro. Whereas I started to try and shift my mindset a little bit, like, I could go pro. Actually, my genetics don't seem to be that bad. Like, actually, maybe I have good genetics, and like that might help force some, I don't know, extra positivity and growth my way. And I try and do this with clients where I'm like this training program, I think I've talked about it before, where I try and really big up their training program, really be like, dude, you are growing, like you're growing like a weed, like just really make them think that like, yeah, like things are going really well. So yeah, I think there's got to be a middle ground though. Cause if you just have this essence of just pure arrogance and like, yeah, I'm the best, blah, 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 you're probably never going to really push yourself to be better. But yeah, if you really think you're just, I don't know, worthless, I don't know how far you're going to get with everything, because you're just going to feel negative about yourself. But I know you've probably got some, if that makes you think of anything.
Yeah. First and foremost, in regards to that cancer or the cancer patients, the ones who are most often beating cancer are the ones who are very positive and very, I don't know, going to war against cancer. It's funny because I once heard of a man who was diagnosed with a severe cancer as well, and they said like you only have I think a year to live or so. And then he thought like, yeah, okay, I should better then get going, and let's do something good. Let's complete a marathon. So he started training for a marathon, and he then thought like, okay, I now complete a marathon, so let's set the new goal. And the new goal was after the deadline, so to speak, when the doctor said, okay, you have only probably that long to live. And it was after that. And he thought like, hey, let's just train for that. If it happens, it happens. So in regards to the marathon. And if not, hey, I still did something productive, right? And he was able to complete the marathon. And he thought like, okay, let's just set the next goal. And same story, right? And he's still alive after, I think, 7 years or so have passed, where he always then chased the next goal. And that always gave him such positivity. And maybe there was something about it that he always had something to work towards to. And I think that it is so important for people to have like goals in mind and something to strive for.
Yeah.
And to I don't know, to just like, that drives you forward. And that's basically funny enough, because we've talked about the drive for me at the moment. There's nothing really I have like honestly to, of course I could say like, yeah, okay, no, then I'm preparing myself for when probably everything will be over at the moment, right? But right now it doesn't really give me that much joy and happiness. And right now, funny enough that you were actually talking then about limiting negative self-talk, because right now I myself am in that state where I have to very, very much try to be positive about things, right? Because it just piles up so much negativity, drags you down. It's like as if you're wearing a weighted vest, right? And you can actually adjust it and put more weight in it and take more weight out of it, right? And when you put so much negativity on your shoulders, then it can just put you into the ground and you're incapable of walking or moving forward, right? And right now, it's exactly like this. And I don't have the recipe for success. I don't have the recipe of actually then putting yourself on the feet again. It's always super easy to motivate other people and to be supportive and all the kind of stuff and pick out the things that...
Hey, Pascal here. I just quickly wanted to remind you of our online coaching service. At Revive Stronger, we put a huge emphasis on the personal aspect of our coaching. And if you want to take your physique and knowledge to the next level, hit the link in the description below.
Maybe a positive news for them, much easier in my opinion than do it with yourself, right? And yeah, that's why I can't really say, okay, I have this methodology. This is the way that I put myself into a proper position or proper mindset. And I would love to have the recipe for that. I have the feeling, though, that bodybuilding taught me a lot, and especially about critical thinking and being skeptical about certain things that you're reading. However, that isn't always a positive thing. Sometimes you're so skeptical and so critical, so much of a critical thinker that you don't really tend to believe anything anymore. Where it's like, okay, I need to see more evidence before I actually make up my mind. And that also then carries over to other methodologies, other practices, etc., right? And right now it's like with less I can't even say the word, and I'm trying. Yeah, and I'm trying to sound smart here, and especially with that word, with less naivety. I can't even pronounce it, so I'm not even trying. Can I say it on German? Naivität. Doesn't matter. With less of it comes, I have the feeling, less of a drive, less motivation, and also with age, I have the feeling age is the killer of motivation and drive forward, because you're getting so indifferent about things. Just as an example, when I was in my early 20s, there was a massive snowstorm here in Germany, where when I moved to Berlin, 2008 to 2009, there was like minus 25 degrees here in Berlin with snow super high, right? And that was during the time where I was still very much vain, and I didn't go outside without any kind of styling of hair, etc., etc. And I was only wearing chucks, and I had that leather jacket that I couldn't close anymore. It was broken, right? But I needed to go outside like this with chucks on and with that broken jacket, and I was freezing my balls off. It was so freaking cold. I was wearing 3 pairs of socks, and that wasn't even enough. I couldn't feel my feet anymore. But to me, it was so much more important to represent something to the outside. Now I'm just going outside and I look like shit all the time. I even joke with Katie about it, say like, hey, I look like a proper father in his 40s or so, because I couldn't care less. And that also, of course, ties into other aspects in life as well, which is unfortunate. And sometimes I would just wish that there's someone who kicks you in the ass. And I think that maybe this is where a coach then comes into play, of like, okay, this is what we do. This is what I want you to do. This, who takes away your critical thinking, your skepticism, and who just tells you like, go and do it now.
A few things came to mind there. That was a cool story though. Like fake it before you make it comes to mind. You know, people talk about that, like to like put on a front that you are this amazing person or whatever it is, and like. I think it's a case of like, I don't know, you fake it before you make it in a sense. Like, so people start believing that you are this authority. You start believing you're this authority, and it starts kind of building itself up. And likewise, I think it can quickly spiral downwards. I've certainly been there when like, I don't know, it just feels like nothing's going my way. And I'm just like, I get to this position. I'm just like, I'm just not helping myself here. All I'm doing is just thinking negatively about everything. I need to do something else. And I'm sure you do it with your clients. I know I've done it with clients where it's like you kind of take them out of this negative mindset and kind of, I don't know, it's almost like it can become very easy and comforting to say that you're like worthless and you're like, I don't know, you're fat and like all these like negative thoughts, because then it becomes easy just to be like, yeah, I mean, this is the way I'm always going to be. And that's never going to change you. And it's such a negative, way to be. So I don't know. Like I said, I haven't got the recipe either.
One more thing, though, because I didn't really talk about anything at all now that I realize it. In regard, I don't do any kind of positive self-talk, to be honest. But at the same time, I also don't let myself being dragged down by negative things. While I'm not the biggest fan of my own body, for example, I'm not thinking the entire time of like, shit, right? I still train, still tick off boxes, still do what I like, right? And the priorities and also your own self-perception just changes over time. I don't make myself worth dependent on the way I look, which probably to some extent I did in the past. And there aren't too many things that I'm super concerned about anymore, and also too much worried about when it comes to and bothered with about myself anymore. After years, I have come to better terms to accepting myself the way I look and also the way I am. Sure, there are always things that I do regret. Sure, there are always things that I think could be better as well. And especially, I have so many memories of my past where I just think I could have been, I don't know, different to other people, the way I acted, the way I behaved, the way I treated other people, for example, and also some of the decisions that I made in the past that I do regret now. There's nothing that I can do about it. And over time, I just came to accept the way that I am, while still, of course, being aware that there's still something that I can do. But this is something that I can only change when I'm moving forward. And that's why I try to not let negative aspects in my life impact my journey too much. I'm just continuing ticking off the boxes on a daily and weekly basis. And when there's ever a point that I don't enjoy ticking off those boxes any longer, then I think it's also time to change and do something else. Because for me, it's more about habits, and it's more about who I am as a person. So training and nutrition is part of my identity, and that's why I'm doing it, right? And that's why even when I have negative thoughts, that it doesn't really impact or make me deviate from that path, because This is so much more ingrained than one negative thought I have on one day or one occasion.
I think something that we always talk about is like, you're going to get what you get. Put your best efforts in, enjoy the process, and you'll get what you get. So no matter, like, I think I did that post about like age and genetic, like things that can impact your growth. And essentially it all boils down to like, just play your cards as well as you can, enjoy the ride. And I think that's as good advice as you can really get, because I don't think Jeff Alberts is thinking, oh man, I'm so old, I'm not going to make any gains. No, I think he's thinking like, I'm going to execute this session to my best ability. I'm going to look to progress. And like, age is just a number. Like he probably doesn't really think about it too much. I hope he doesn't. I imagine he doesn't. Otherwise it could quite easily start crippling you.
So did you just say that Jeff Alberts is old?
I actually don't. How old is Jeff? Because he looks like 20.
That is the question. That is the
I actually
question.
don't know how old. I think Jeff. I actually don't know. I don't even want to try and guess his age. I think I'd get it wrong.
Yeah, you don't want to try to guess it because otherwise you could offend him. But I think he's a family man. And it's like I said, with age comes also a little bit of a don't give a fuck. So even if we were to say like, I guess he's 60 years old, which is definitely not what it is, but he would just be like, all right.
Imagine looking like Jeff when you're 60.
Oh man. That would be
pretty. Looking like Jeff full stop, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
What am I saying?
60? Give it to me now. Yeah. Give it to me at 80. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh dear. And I think one other thing I'd just say is like, you could look at people like Jeff, who is in amazing shape, being slightly older as a bodybuilder, and you can be like, like maybe I can do that too. Like that might give you a bit of a push. Next question. We got time for one more? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is from...
Talk so much about poop, so we need to make it up for the audience.
We need like some tags. People, yeah. No, please. Actually, I'm just thinking people are going to take pictures of their poo and tag us. So don't do this.
Or just send it from a private account over on Instagram, sending you now poop pictures.
I'm not resharing these. So Brett McGee.
But just on a side note, I'm right now always getting messages from. I don't know if it's a girl, I don't know if it's a man, because in the bio, so it looks like a girl, but I've never seen her face. But she's constantly sending me pictures of her ass, just her ass, and just saying like, "You're sexy." That's everything, and I'm just like, okay. And of course, I'm showing that to Katie, and we're just having a laugh. But yeah.
How's the ass? Is it good?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's bad, but man, we are into lifting, and
you need some lunges and hip thrusts and RDLs.
Yeah, come on. I mean, let's be real here. When you see like bikini girls, that is a proper and a fine ass, and not just bikini girls. Also, you, Steve, you got some very, very beautiful glutes. I have to say, very well rounded. Same goes for Ibsen. Yeah, I've seen it lately. A post that he did, like the Instagram influencer pose. Very, very lovely, very well-rounded. And I sometimes I catch myself taking a look at the mirror and I'm just thinking that, yeah, your bum has grown as well. So let's be real here. We are a little bit spoiled in the fitness industry with beautiful butts of doing a lot of RDLs and SLDLs, hopefully. So because of that, I wouldn't rate it super high, but it is also because I'm spoiled. It's as if I'm now going to a Michelin restaurant that has only 1 star, but I'm used to always eat at a Michelin restaurant that has 3 stars. Something like that.
I'll ask the question now. Otherwise, yeah. I got to. That was good, though. Brett McGee has asked, there's several people at my gym who superset on 2 pieces of kit across the gym and don't let people work in with them. I feel like these people are wrong for doing so because it's not considerate of other people in the gym. What do you think to this? Is this proper gym etiquette or not? For context, I'm not against supersets in general. I just think it's very context dependent when we are talking about how considerate it is to others. If you have a workout partner and you both are supersetting on 2 pieces of kit, that's fine. One person, that's fine. One per person, sorry. Or if you're using a cable attachment and you're supersetting with an exercise and the top and bottom, these are 2 examples where I feel it makes sense. Thanks, guys.
So, so I have to ask the question, Brad. But I think that you did it already. Have you asked that individual if you can work in there, or is that something that you don't assume that guy will allow for? Just like a normal question, right? Because I've had it myself as well, that sometimes there was one just like using all of the machines.
You're that guy.
I was in the past. I would have gotten to that point like later on as well. But I've seen someone using a couple of machines, and I thought like, oh, especially when they have that crazy eyes look, right? Sweating big time, having like, I don't know, loud music. When the music is louder outside of the headphones than it is inside of the headphones, right? You know that type of guy, crazy eyes, sweating, breathing heavily. Then sometimes you just like think, oh, I'm not going to ask that guy whether I can work in, because I know that answer already. And he could have been the sweetest guy in the world, or girl. But I don't assume that girls are like that. And I have to admit, I was that guy so I wasn't doing supersets, but when I was at a machine, I was not allowing anyone to interfere with my sets and work when I was doing the work there. And right now, also there, age, buddy, age solves everything. This is the answer to the peace in the world, hopefully. Because right now, I'm just like, hey, sure thing. Yeah, absolutely. What do you want my towel as well? Sure. Come on, sit down, have my towel. Do you want me to spot you? Yeah, sure thing. Come on, let me help you. So right now, I would of course welcome that, because I like to also sometimes just be kind then. But I was that guy who was crazy eyes, who was listening to loud music, and was pissed off when someone just like approached me without no real reason. I was just an asshole, to be honest. So do I find it appropriate? No. But some people are just like that. And I was one of them, without any kind of good reason for it. So, yeah.
I wonder if I'm thinking about this. Yeah, you have to like work it back to like what's the gym rules? The gym should have rules for this, right? Because otherwise, if it's acceptable within the rules, then you shouldn't even be allowed to be upset that they're allowed to do it or something. Just trying to be like in most incredibly rational self. Like if it's not against the rules, why shouldn't they be able to do it? But I think most gyms actually have it in there, like you're not allowed to use multiple pieces of kit. Or if you ask the gym manager, they'd be like, no, that's not all right. I think if it's like a superset and it's one machine right by another one, and you're going to be done relatively quickly, like it's a metabolite superset and you're going to be done in 5 minutes, like I'm not thinking that's the end of the world. And you can just tell the person it's going to be 5 minutes, or they can tell you. But most of the people doing these sort of things have no sense of why they're doing it. They're just doing it, and they're going to do it, and you're not going to interfere. We have one guy who I would see most days in the gym, and he is exactly the stereotype you said. Like he's got his headphones on, and like he wears these like, I don't know, huge Nike Air trainers, and he squats in those, and he squats with like all the plates on. He leg presses with all the plates on. So it's like you can't even take a plate off if he's like supersetting it with this other exercise. And I just never want to train in there when he's there, because I'm just like, this fucking guy. He's very kind though. Like like he's not aggressive, but he's like using that. I'm just like, for God's sake. Right, I'll find a plate somewhere else and I'll move away from whatever you're using. It's not really good gym etiquette generally, is it? It's a bit selfish. No.
But I mean, once again, reflecting on how it was in the past, I always thought that it's cool to be an asshole in the past. Like, honestly, in my early 20s, I thought that being an asshole is the way to be successful in life and to I don't know, make your ways. Maybe this is because I thought, or I watched too many Hollywood movies where the assholes and the evil guys were always the ones at the top, if you really think about it. Right? But this is just a stereotypical kind of thing, and normally that is not how the world is. And I thought, oh, yeah, I need to be that guy, especially I'm training, right? I'm training. This is masculinity at its finest. I need to actually show my testosterone. Honestly, I had nothing to show for. Like, nothing to show for. And now, looking back in hindsight, if I were to meet my younger self, I would just be, what the fuck is wrong with you? Dude, get your shit together or pack your stuff and leave. You're just like ridiculous. I think I've changed a lot. I was just an asshole. And sometimes it is just what it is. There will always be assholes, and sometimes they will change. Sometimes they will grow older.
Mature.
Become more mature.
But
it doesn't change the fact that guys like these are occupying the gym and occupying most of the machines. That's for sure. And I'm sorry to hear that. It's probably the same in any kind of gym.
I know that, like, I've been in commercial gyms where it tends to be the older folk who are like maybe in their 70s or like late 60s, 80s, and they use the machines as like a circuit. They're like, on this machine, now I'm going to this machine, now I'm going to this machine. And if you like break their circuit, you can just see them getting so riled up. I can remember that happening as well. What I was going to say, speaking of films, I had a friend who really liked American Psycho and like tried to build his character like the guy from American Psycho. He's literally building his character around a psychopath. Like, this is not good.
I think it inspired a lot of people, actually.
Yeah,
because I was scary. Just like the other day, I was just watching Netflix. Don't Fuck with Cats. Watch that one. It's a new one. It's about. It's not a serial killer, but someone who killed. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's someone who was an actor who wanted to actually become famous as well, and who was very, very, very much into films as well, and this was one of them. Once again, I don't want to spoil too much, right? And I really do think that Pat Bateman inspired a lot of people, actually, because it is a very interesting movie. Yeah. A great movie, to be honest.
I have to check that one out as well.
Yeah.
Right, are we done? I think we're done. Do we have any winners to pick? We haven't done a members thing in ages, have we?
No, I don't think that we... So, I can't really recall. So, that's why let's just pick it up here, shall we? So, we've talked about kind of the drive, and I would like to actually ask something about that, of how should we phrase it? How robotic people are, or do they have a drive? Do they have a clear goal? Or is it more like that they are just training for fun? Because that can be, I think that it's a common phenomenon at the moment that you have to compete if you are a bodybuilder, which in reality is not true, right? A bodybuilder is what the name implies, someone who wants to build his physique and change his physique. And I would just like to know right now, what's the drive for you? Put it into the comment section below. I'm very, very curious to hear whether you're also sometimes struggling with the drive or whether you're just ticking off the boxes. But what's the drive for you? Why are you training?
Cool. I like it.
Cool.
I was worried you're gonna pick a question about poo.
I was at first. So I had two options. There's either talking about the drive or talking about the poop. And after sitting down, really, really thinking about it thoroughly, I came to the conclusion that poop wasn't the appropriate thing to talk about this time, because I didn't want our comment section maybe to appear as if it's only spam and YouTube banning our content. That is the only reason why I didn't choose that one.
Good.
Maybe we just need like a secret word for it. Instead of saying poop, maybe say, I don't know, unicorn.
Why did unicorn I was thinking you want unicorn as well. That's very random. Yeah, really random.
I don't know.
And on that bombshell, shall we say goodbye? Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. Do we normally ask for the comments? Yeah, we've already asked for comments. When you comment, also give us a thumbs up, subscribe, notify yourself, and we'll talk to you next time.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys.
So I'm Steve Hall, founder of Revive Stronger and a coach of Revive Stronger.
My name is Pascal Flor. I'm the co-owner of Revive Stronger and also a coach, of course.
Revive Stronger has probably been going solidly for 3 years, roughly about 3 years.
Revive Stronger, to me, it is becoming kind of my child, my foster child. It's the gathering and getting together of like-minded people.
We've been expanding the coaching team, which is helping us help more people, but each coach can only help a certain number of people.
Right now, it's all over the place. We have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, but there isn't that community aspect behind that.
And so the next step for us is developing a membership site.
So basically, we want to create a family and a community that is then benefiting from another.
A really cool community for people within our little niche is going to be a website.
They will get early access to our podcast.
You can access us, ask us questions.
The community aspect, we have a forum there. You can ask questions, but also you can log your journey.
There's also going to be courses on there.
Courses, presentations on different topics. Discount of past seminar footage. We will log our journey as well. We'll start vlogging.
We're going to have documentaries.
Our entire athletic journey. Furthermore, they get access to an exercise video library.
The exercises that we love for hypertrophy and maximizing hypertrophy, we're going to go through those in depth, telling you how to execute them.
We kept them concise and also mobile friendly so that you can watch them in between your sets.
I'm super excited to grow this community. The amount of value that we're going to be delivering is huge, and I'd love you to be part of it.
You will get so much out of that.
I'll see you inside.